there is another round of help coming for small business owners. That's the hope. But some say the Democrats are holding it up. Joining us to discuss, Rick Manning, president of Americans for Limited Government, and former Republican Ohio Congressman Jim Renacci, who served on the Ways and Means and Budget Committees in Congress and was one of the architects of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs bill. Jim, I'll start with you. Who was holding this up?
Sure. Look, it's politics as usual, but right now the Democrats are holding this up. This $350 billion that was already authorized has been used up in a lot of cases by businesses maybe that don't need it, as we heard that the Shake Shack is giving its money back. But still, there are so many businesses out there that do need it. And right now, what I continue to hear is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer poising to try and get additional money, almost $250 billion more for local and state governments and hospitals. And let's face it, some of the hospitals do have a need. I have a son that's up in Mount Sinai as an emergency room physician. They are in need, but holding it up when small businesses need it and they need it really quickly is a big problem. And I see the Democrats playing those cards right now.
Rick, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's pretty clear that Nancy Pelosi was planning to create this. She had the option to create a system where Congress could vote remotely during this crisis. She chose not to do that. In fact, she scoffed at the notion. And so consequently, the House of Representatives is not scheduled to be back until the beginning of May to even start to considering anything. This is in spite of the fact that we're now, literally these small businesses are lasting day to day because of the shutdown created by this government response. And Nancy Pelosi sits back eating ice cream out of her expensive freezer while the small business is dying on the vine because she won't get Congress back to work.
Jim, is there a possibility of just having more money for the PPP program and leaving all the other issues aside? And that would come because Democrats would say Republicans are playing politics also. But is there a possibility of just one bill for this amount of money for this program?
Well, that was the original proposal last week by Senate Republicans and Leader McConnell, just to add the $250 billion. But of course, and why waste a crisis? That's what Nancy Pelosi is doing. She's wasting a crisis to try and add other things to her agenda. It's a political year. She wants to add this in. But, in Washington, I was there 8 years. I can tell you, it's too easy just to add one thing, and that's what should have been done. That's the easiest answer, is just to add that additional money, pass it out of the Senate, pass it out of the House, get the president to sign it. But Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have now played with this delay game for almost a week, and clearly now they're in negotiations. They're trying to get some other things done, and I'm hoping that we can get this done for small business owners, because clearly that is the people that are struggling right now.
Rick, just quickly, what are your greatest concerns as you just look at the state of small businesses right now while we're in this holding pattern, so to speak?
My greatest concern is we're losing 5.5 million jobs a week and new unemployed. The PPP program was designed to keep people employed. Nancy Pelosi is sitting back in San Francisco, and when she waits another 2 weeks, that's potentially another 11 million people unemployed. It's another millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands of small businesses that will never open again. And as a result, there won't be any place for people to go back to work to when this is done. And I think Nancy Pelosi will be the person who is responsible.
Rick Manning and Jim Renacci, thank you so much for joining us today. Coming up, we will have continuing coverage of the coronavirus crisis.